Hi, Vaibhav. So, can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Vaibhav Patak. I have done my engineering from JS Criminal Technical Campus, Pune. I have 2 years of experience. Uh, I have totally 2 years of experience. I have worked on technologies like Angular, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap. So my current company is there some IT solutions, Nagpur, and I have worked on project name Verify and Ticket Tool. So
Vaibhav, your voice is not coming clear. Can you keep your mic little bit away from your mouse?
now am I audible?
Yeah, it is clear now.
So my current company is Jeremy IT Solution Nagpur, and I have worked on two projects name Validify and Ticket Tool. So in Validify, so it is a smart parking management application
Hmm.
in which it helps to manage multiple floor parking easily and also reduce number of men needed to manage parking spots and also check their availability. Also, it's printing papers as all the updates from parking tickets are digital. So
Okay.
this is the idea behind this project. And second project which I have worked named Ticket Tool. So it is an employee management application where employee can create tickets to particular department, and
Hmm.
then that ticket will be assigned to employee of any particular department, and
Hmm.
then that employee will work on the ticket and close it.
Okay. So, what was the environment where you have hosted this application?
Hello,
Where you have hosted this application? You
hello,
must have you. Am I audible? Am I
hello.
audible? Is my voice clear now?
Yes, you are audible now.
So, I was asking where you have deployed your application.
Yes, we have our share hosting. So our company has their own Windows server. So they take access through remote desktop and then deploy the build.
Okay, fine. Can you describe your team structure? What kind of teams is there in your current company?
Yes. So uh, the project which in Validify, there is team size of 10. In
Mm,
for API, there are 4 team members. For
mm.
testing, there are 3 team members, and for UI, there are also 3 team members. And for
Okay.
ticket tool,
Yeah, so same structure will be there.
yes,
How do you, let's say you have three teams, API team is separate, UI team is separate, and testing team is also separate. So how do you communicate? How things are properly aligned? How team move like one proper arrangement? Got my question, Vaibhav?
so, sorry, can you please repeat once again?
How do you daily work? What is the working structure?
Yes. So, from first of all, there is a Scrum call. In that,
Mm,
we will discuss what we have done previously and
mm.
what we are going to done if next.
Your voice is not coming.
Hello,
Yes. Hello.
hello. Am I audible now?
Yes.
So the first of all, there is a Scrum call.
Yeah,
That,
I got that. So do you have a Scrum Master in your company?
yes, we have.
Okay. Does client take part in your Scrum call? Is client there in Scrum call?
No,
So how do you give demo to the client then? Or what if he has to question anything on anything, or you need to ask something to client? How do you manage that?
uh, if if I have got any problem or some if I want to ask some functionality, then our manager is our Scrum Master.
Hmm.
So we are asking to our manager. So there is some uh, errors in functionality, or we want some changes in functionality. Then
Hmm.
the manager will contact to the client, and then
Okay.
client provide some
Okay. Got it. Okay. So how will you rate in UI designing part out of 5? Let's say HTML, CSS, Bootstrap. How much you will rate out of 5?
I will rate myself 3 out of 5.
JavaScript
Uh, 3.5 out of 5.
Angular?
4 out of 5.
Okay. Any backend technology do you know?
No, uh, we have used SQL as a backend technology, but I don't have any specific experience
Is
in.
SQL backend technology or
Sorry,
database?
sorry, it is a database. .NET Core we have used.
Okay, fine. So let's get started with JavaScript. Can you tell me what is prototype?
Yes, the prototype is basically object which is attached to JavaScript engine.
Hmm.
JavaScript engine to a object functions or variables, and then so it is said in JavaScript that everything in JavaScript is object. So we can operate that properties of object arrays function by using dot operator.
Okay, can you tell me any property we get for array?
Means you want
Can you tell me any property which is there in array?
the prototype of array is object.
No, no, no. I'm asking whatever the properties get assigned to declared variable by JavaScript, we can access that using dot, right?
Yes,
Right. So what is the property we have when we declare an array variable? Okay. Tell me any function which is there in array.
means,
If you got my question or not?
oh, no, I haven't got your question.
Let's say if we create an array of city, right?
Yes,
So what are the functions we can make use of which work on the array variable data?
means you want methods which we work on array.
Right. Functions or array, the same thing.
Yes, so we use methods like slice,
Yeah. So
also
just like that, what what are the properties we have in case of array?
yes, we can use filter, map,
Filter
length.
maps are properties. These are methods, right?
Yes,
Length is the property, right?
yes.
How do we differentiate like this is a method and this is the property? How do you differentiate that? Like I told you, like length is a property and slice filter is a method. So how do you differentiate? Vaibhav? Method comes with the round bracket symbol, right? And property, we don't have to use round bracket symbol, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is hoisting?
Yes, hoisting is the way by which we can use variables before initializing it. Hoisting can be applicable only for var and normal functions.
Hmm.
Variable declared with const and let doesn't, and also arrow function does not support hoisting.
Also,
Variable declared with const, let, and arrow function doesn't support
okay,
hoisting.
fine. What is closure?
Yes, closure is a function inside function where inside function have access to of the outer function.
Okay. Can you tell me any predefined example of which support closure functionality
Uh, Set timeout is a basic example of closure.
apart from set timeout?
Apart from set timeout, set interval.
Okay. Why we in which scenario we can use set interval?
Suppose if we want to suppose there is a scenario like we want to increase uh, we want to show progress in the progress bar, so in that
Mhm.
scenario we can use set interval.
In progress bar, what is the use of set interval?
Suppose if we want to show progress for a particular time,
Mm.
for a particular time interval, so
Mm.
there we can use set interval after
Okay, but
we achieve.
that is not the correct scenario, right? Yeah, we can do that progress bar using interval, but that is not the correct scenario to use interval. Agree? Let's say we let's say in a web application we need to call particular data from the API after every 2 or 3 seconds or 2 or 5 minutes. In that scenario, we can make use of the set interval. Correct? Is it the right scenario?
Yes,
Okay. What are the ES6 features we have?
ESS features are the template requests, default parameters,
Hmm.
also state operator, rest operator, also object destructing.
Okay. What is the
Also,
difference between spread operator and the rest operator?
using spread operator, we can combine two arrays or object and arrays or object.
Hmm.
And the rest operator is that if you pass multiple parameters
Hmm.
to a function, if
Hmm.
uh, and if the arguments are remaining, it will get assigned to the rest operator. So rest operator will combine the remaining parameter and give
Yeah.
return that parameter.
Okay. How do we how do we clone an object? How do we clone an object?
Yes,
Did you get my question?
yes, we can clone object by using shallow copy.
Hmm.
So in shallow copy, the case is that we assign object a variable, we assign a object to another variable, so that
Hmm.
that object memory location will get assigned to that variable. So
Hmm.
when we operate on a property from the object, uh, so we will get that property into another object. But the disadvantage of the shallow copy is that when we modify the value in a second object, it will
Hmm.
also get modified in the previous object.
Okay, got it. What is the difference between normal arrow function, sorry, arrow function and the normal function? Difference.
So normal function have uh, a name, and also it is we can invoke it. But the
Hmm.
arrow function, there is no, it is an anonymous function. We don't have any name, and also
Arrow function doesn't have name. Is it what you are saying?
no, sorry, arrow function are have the parameters. In and in normal arrow function, there is a shorthand notation of an arrow, that is fat arrow function. But
Hmm.
in normal function, there is no fat arrow.
Okay, this is just a syntactical difference. What is the main difference we have in arrow function and the normal function?
Yes,
This is very common question, right? Like what is the difference between function and the arrow function? Just prepare this question, okay?
uh,
What is promise in JavaScript?
yes, promise is a asynchronous or paraprop execution which can handle single event at a time. Promise can handle either
So
reject or
what can be scenario where we have to use the promise? Where do we use promise?
hello,
Where can we use promise? Am I
hello,
audible? I'm
hello.
audible. So what is the scenario where we can use promise?
Basically, we are using promise to handle asynchronous operations.
Yeah, that is the definition you are telling me. But what is the scenario where you will be using promise? Where do we use promise?
So actually, I don't have any idea. This
So you have just prepared theoretical question.
yes, right now I don't have any idea.
Asynchronous call, right? So asynchronous programming means when something gets done, after that we have to do something, right? So
Yes,
we use promise normally for API call. Just like in Angular, we make use of the observable. Observable is nothing but asynchronous programming, right? So
yes,
same concept was there in JavaScript. So if you have to make the API call, in that scenario, we make use of the promise. Got it?
yes,
Okay. So when you prepare, you can't just come up with theoretical question, right? Practical implementation is also needed, correct?
yes.
Okay. So I'm going to post some output. We'll just share you the URL. So I've just shared you a code share URL. Just open that. I will be posting code snippet and you just have to inform me the output.
Okay.
Can you share your screen
It is disabled.
right now?
Yes. Is my screen visible?
Yeah. Just try to open. Wait, let me share it again. In chat box I'm sharing. Just open that URL. Okay. Tell me the output of this.
The output will be first, last, and then set timeout.
Okay. Pasting second example. What will be the output of this? And you have to explain also like why that output will be like that. Are you there? Above,
Yes.
what will be output? You explain me hosting and closure, correct? So what will be output of this?
The output will be
Hmm.
a month, then
So which line will print
the output
Hemant?
will be a month undefined,
Which line will print Hemant?
and then
Above, which line will print Hemant?
a month undefined, and then also a month.
Which line will print Hemant? Can you write it there?
Line number 7.
Yeah, why it will print Hemant?
Because on line number 1 there is a variable declared with name username Hemant. It is in
Okay.
global scope.
Okay.
That's why it
Where it
will
will be
print
undefined?
Hemant.
Where it
On
will
line
be
number 4.
why undefined? Why it will be undefined?
Because it is in function. The variable is initialized before used before it initialization.
But
That's why.
same variable we have at the top also, right? On the global level, we have the same variable. So still undefined. Why it will be still undefined? Because same variable name is at the global also, right? Username. So it should access.
Yes.
But still why you are saying it undefined? Why it will be undefined? Because we have the same variable name in the function scope, right? So where is a function or a global scope? If this line number 5 was not there, then it would have printed Hemant, correct? But since
Yes.
we have the same variable name in the function also, so this line is not executed yet. So that's why undefined, correct? Understood,
Yes.
Vaibhav?
Correct. This is a hosting concept. Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm pasting one more question. tell me the output of this. Wait, one variable is remaining. Okay. Tell me the output of this. Can you refresh the page?
It is still refreshing.
It will refresh. Try to refresh it one more time. Just click on that cross and refresh it again. Yeah, it is correct. So tell me, like, what will be the output of this? Yes, so are you clear, like, what is the difference between normal function and the arrow function? If you can see, method is normal function and method 2 is arrow function.
Yes.
So what will be the output of both console.log? In both console.log, we have printed this dot length, right? So what will be output?
The output will be
Yes.
output 5.
And second,
For second also 5.
why?
Because in object there is also link property
Hmm.
assigned value 5. That's why it will consider the latest value.
No, the first output will be 5 and the second output will be 10. Okay, so just try to analyze why it will be like that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can stop share. Coming back to HTML side, what are the semantic elements we have? What are the
Hello.
semantic elements?
Yes. Basically the semantic elements have their meaning to them.
Hmm.
The elements like figure tag, article, aside, header, main, and name are the semantic elements.
Okay, what are inline elements?
Inline elements are the span.
Okay, what are block level elements?
Block level elements are like p and div are the block level elements.
Okay, what are the HTML5 features we have?
Sorry, can you please?
HTML5 features. HTML5 features.
Hello.
I'm audible. HTML5 features.
Yes. HTML5 features like it has better error handling. Also, it support multiple device. Also, there are new semantic tags like header, footer, main, and section. Also,
Hmm.
it allows offline editing. Also, it includes new form controls like calendar, email search, and URL.
Okay. Just like CSS, what other CSS frameworks are there? What are the CSS frameworks you know?
Uh, there is SCSS,
Hmm.
Synthetically Awesome Style Sheet. This is
Again,
uh,
only SSS is there.
again SAS is there.
Again,
I am
fine. Coming
aware.
back to CSS, what are the positions we have in CSS?
Positions like there are relative, absolute, fixed, and sticky. These are four positions are there.
Okay. What is CSS box model?
In CSS box model, there are uh, margin, border, padding, and content.
First margin will be there. Then
Margin, border,
Mhm.
padding, and content.
Okay. How do we write media queries?
Yes. If we want to write media queries for a particular device,
Mhm.
then there is a syntax like @media, and then in bracket we give maximum max width or min width for a particular device, and
Mhm.
then we close the bracket with curly braces, and then
Mhm.
uh, we assign CSS for the particular class ID according to the device size.
Okay. What is the specificity of CSS? Specificity.
Specificity means we
Let's say
can
we have an element where class is also there, inline style is also there, ID selector class is also there. So what will be the specificity? Which CSS will get applied?
yes uh, first uh, first inline style will be get applied because
Mhm.
they are directly in the HTML. Then
Mhm.
second will be IDs
Mhm.
because it is a unique identifier. Then
Mhm.
class attribute and class will get consider, and last is elements and pseudo elements.
Okay, fine. Okay. So what is the difference between visibility and display on CSS?
Yes. The main difference between visibility none and display none is that so when we apply display none property for a particular element, it will hide that element from the DOM only, but the it will it will capture the space there in DOM, but instead in visibility none, it will
Mhm.
not capture the space in the DOM.
So in case of display none, you are saying it will take some space.
Yes.
And in case of visibility hidden, it won't take the space. It will take the space.
No, it don't. It will not take the space in the visibility none.
Okay.
Sorry, visibility hidden.
Are you sure about this?
Yes.
Okay. What are the different units we have when we provide like font size, weight, anything? What are the units you know?
Yes. There is a PX unit, uh,
Mm.
REM, also
Mm.
percentage.
Mm. Again, EM is also there, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are pseudo classes?
Hello.
What are pseudo classes?
Hello.
What are pseudo classes? Vaibhav, am I audible?
Y- Hello.
What are pseudo classes?
Yes. Pseudo classes are classes which we apply on the HTML element to show some changes like the pseudo classes are link, visited, hover, active, and focus.
Okay. What is before and after then?
Yes. If we those are the pseudo class elements
Okay,
before and after.
fine. Let's start Angular side. Can you tell me like what are the versions we have in Angular?
Yes, the first version is Angular JS. That is the basic version.
Mhm.
Then the next version is version 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay. Is Angular JS and the rest version are same? Means
Yes, they are.
Angular JS and the remaining versions. Is it the same technology or the different?
Yes, there is one difference. The Angular JS is based on JavaScript, but the next version are based on TypeScript.
This is the only difference.
Yes, also Angular. The next versions of Angular are faster and reliable as compared to Angular JS.
Mhm.
Angular JS does not support dependency injection, but the next Angular version support dependency injection.
Okay, try to go through this question. There are so many differences. Okay. What are the major building blocks we have in Angular?
Yes, the major building blocks are component, modules, pipes, services, and directives.
Okay. What is module?
Yes, module is a set of basic UI building blocks like component, pipes, directive, and services. The module contains four properties like import, export, declaration, and providers. Import section consists of all the modules,
Hmm.
usually in all the modules. Then export section consists of components, pipes, module that is used by another module. Then declaration holds all the components, and providers hold services.
How many modules we can have in any Angular application?
And at least one root module there is there in Angular application.
Hmm.
But
How many? How many we can have?
yes, we can have multiple models. We can create a model by using command engine generate module and module name.
Okay, fine. What is component?
Yes, component is the most basic UI building blocks of Angular. The Angular application is a set of Angular components. Also, component is a subset of directive, which is always associated with the template.
Hmm. Can we create component in one file? Can
Sorry,
we create? Can we create component with just one file? What number of files we need to create a component? In component, how many files are there?
yes, yes, there are four files required to create a
Yeah.
component.
So can we create component in one line, one file only? I don't want four files. I just want one file, and in that one file, I can be able to create my whole component code. Is it
Yes,
possible?
yes, we can create a component in one file in .ts file.
Hmm.
There is a property name template. In that
Okay,
we can write our inline HTML code.
fine. What is decorator?
Yes, decorator is used to decorate.
What is decorator in Angular? What are the types of decorators we have in Angular?
Yes, there are four types of decorator: uh,
Hmm.
class decorator, method decorator, uh, property decorator, and optional decorator.
Okay, so
In
you are
class,
telling me the types. So what is the decorator then?
yes, the decorator is the decorator is used to store the metadata about the class, method, and properties, and also it informs the Angular how to process on the class or method.
Okay,
And
fine. What are the lifecycle event hooks we have in a component?
yes, there are eight lifecycle loops in our Angular application.
Hmm.
The Can I explain it?
Just name all.
Yes, the first lifecycle loop is ng on changes. Second one
Hmm.
is ng on it. Third one is ng do check. Fourth one is ng after content init. Fifth
Hmm.
one is ng after content check. Sixth one is ng after view init. Seventh one is ng after view check. And last one is ng on destroy.
What is the purpose of ng do check
Yes, it is used to detect the changes in the Angular application.
and ng after view init?
Yes, this method is called a response when uh, Angular initialize the components.
Okay. But what is the purpose? When what kind of functionality we write in ng after view init lifecycle? In which scenario we have to use that?
Suppose if we want to show the particular element after DOM rendering, so there
Hmm.
we can use ng after unit.
Okay. What are the different data binding we have in Angular?
Yes, there are two types of data binding: one-way data binding and two-way data binding. In one-way data binding, there are three types. That is interpolation binding, property binding, and event binding.
Hmm.
And in two-way data binding, we can achieve that by using ng model syntax.
Okay. What are the various ways by which I can pass data from one component to another?
Yes, there are two ways. First way is by using parent-child relationship, and second way is without using parent-child relationship. In parent-child relationship, we can pass data by using input and output decorator, also view child. And in no parent-child relationship, we can pass data by using service. In service, we can store data in variable and share through components. The second way is by using routing. We can pass navigate from one component to another component by using query parameters. Third way is by using a local storage or sequence session storage. We can
Right.
read data or store the data. And last two ways by using subject and behavior subject.
Okay, fine. How do we create our own directive?
Yes, we can create our own directive by using command ng generate directive and directive name.
Okay. Let's say in my directive, I need to access the particular element. How do we do that? Wherever I add that directive, I need the reference of that particular element in my
Uh,
directive.
we can achieve that by using view child.
View child. What is the purpose of element ref then?
Yes, we can use
Right.
element
So
reference. Yes.
element ref is in the name itself, element reference, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just like ngIf and ngPower, what are other directives we have in Angular, which are already provided by Angular?
Yes, there is attribute directive in that ng class and ng style
Yeah.
are there.
Apart from that,
Component. A component is the directive with the template.
apart from that,
And custom directive, we can create our
yes,
own
apart
custom.
from that, is there any directives apart from structural and attribute? Router
Uh,
link, is it a directive?
yes, router outlet, router link, and router link activate
Okay.
router.
So there are so many directives also, apart
Yes,
from the famous one. Can we pass function to ng for?
yes, we can pass the function.
In which scenario you can do that?
Suppose there is scenarios like we have to do inline editing in the table.
Mm.
So we want to apply custom validations.
Mm.
So there we can write our custom logic in the function and
Okay.
can
How many various ways are there by which we can use ng class? What are the various ways where we can use ng class?
yes, there are two ways. The first way we can use a property binding to the class and
Mm.
assign a variable. And
Mm.
second way is ng class syntax. So there
Let's
we can ask.
say I need to add multiple classes based on multiple condition on a particular element. How can we achieve that? Multiple classes can be added based on the conditions. It is not just one or two, multiple classes will be added. And for all those classes, multiple conditions will be there.
Suppose there are multiple classes. Uh, so we can use ing class. In that we
Mhm.
can use object, and
Mhm.
according to different conditions we can use or get for the classes.
Okay. What is routing in Angular?
Yes. So basically, our Angular application is a single page application. So to achieve multiple page navigation, Angular provides a routing library from @Angular/routing package. So by
Mm.
using routing, we can navigate from one component to another component.
Purpose of router outlet?
Yes, the purpose of the router outlet is to load the present component in the place of uh,
Present component means what
sorry,
would be present?
present component means the component which is present in the outlet that the router outlet will load that component instead of router
No,
outlet directly.
that is not correct. What is the purpose of router outlet? What it does? What is the purpose of router outlet? What do you mean by
Uh,
present component?
uh, it will display the activated route component.
Right? So that is the right
And,
one. No, activated routes component.
yes,
What are the field we have in route object?
yes, there are two properties, path and component. In path, we give value for the
Mm.
component, and in component, there is a component class.
What are other fields we have?
There are other fields like redirect to, path
Mm.
match, and
Mm.
also title.
Okay. What is the purpose of title property?
So we use title property to display the name of current route in the tab, browser tab.
Let's say I have a route with some parameter. How do we read that parameter?
We can read that parameter by using query parameter. activated route. So first we need to uh, first we need to give the route with parameter. So we need to pass the parameter in our app.routing.ts file. So then from which component we want to pass the data in that component, we need to navigate that path alongside with its parameter, and in which and the component in which we want to get the data. So there we need to inject object of activated route through dependency injection, and then we need to subscribe to activated route.forum, and we can
Okay.
get the data.
What is wildcard route in Angular?
So wildcard route are used to handle invalid URLs. So if the URL is not matched, it will give the error that it is not the page not found.
It will give error. Are you sure?
Sorry, it will show. So for wildcard route, we create a separate component. For example, I'm going to create page not found component. In that, I will show some image, and using two asterisks, we can denote the wildcard route. If the
Okay.
route not found, it will redirect to that component.
Okay. Do you know any router events?
No, sorry, I don't. Currently,
Router
I don't.
events. Difference between pure and impure pipe.
Yes, difference. The main difference is that when Angular detects when there is a change in changes, Angular detects.
Mhm.
Pure pipe is that it will get called when there is change in the parameter or value to the of the pipe. But in case of impure pipe, it will for every synthetic cycle, it will called whether there is whether a change in value or parameter of the
Which
pipe.
one is good then?
Pure pipe is good.
Okay. What is the function that we get when we create a custom pipe? What is the function we have in pipe?
Yes, transform function.
How many parameters will be there to the transform function?
There are two parameters, value and parameter.
Okay. What is the purpose of HTTP client library?
Yes, HTTP client is the basic built-in service of the Angular. So
Service. HTTP client library, I said.
HTTP client,
HTTP client is a library, but it's a package also, right?
yes.
So what is the purpose of that package?
Uh, the HTTP client is come from @angular/common/HTTP.
Hmm.
Uh,
I ask you question like what is the purpose of that particular library? Where we need to make use of the HTTP client library? To make API calls, right? This is a overview answer, na? Just like routing, when we have to create the routes and everything, we use routing library. Just like that, HTTP client to
yes,
make the API call,
yes,
correct?
yes.
Right? Okay. So just tell me the process. If we create a service, what things you need to do when you have to create a post API form. Let's say you have a create user form. What things you will do? Just in brief.
Yes, first we need to create, first we need to import HTTP client module in our app.module.ts file.
Mm,
Then we need to create a service file by using command ngGenerate service and service name.
mm,
So in service file, we create our API call. So
mm,
in that API call, we will create our post method, and inside post method, we will pass URL and object,
mm,
and in form in component. So in component side, so uh, if you want to post data to the server,
mm,
so there we need to inject our service through dependency injection in constructor, and then when on save button click, we need to subscribe to that function. Suppose name on create form,
mm.
so we need to subscribe to that function, and we the object we have created, we need to pass that object.
Okay. Difference between template and the reactive form.
Yes, the template driven, the main difference in the template and reactive forms are that the template driven form does support two-way data binding. but reactive form does not support two-way data binding.
Hmm.
The template-driven form suitable for simple scenarios, and reactive form suitable for complex scenarios. Also, reactive form uh, in template-driven form there is minimum component code, and in reactive form there is maximum
So
component code.
like you told me, template driven form doesn't support two-way data binding.
No,
But
no.
what if I need to check, like if any particular text box value got changed, how do we change that in reactive form?
Template-driven form support two-way data binding.
Yeah, but reactive form doesn't, right?
Yes.
But in reactive form, if I need to check, like if any particular text box value got changed, I need to write some code. How do we do that in reactive form? Got my question or not?
So you are saying that if we change value in input box, then
I need to do something. So how do we write event for that?
yes. So we can do uh,
Yes. How do we write event on that?
so we
Form
need to
change, form value we have to subscribe, right?
yes
Then
value changes dot subscribe. That's
yes.
syntax.
What is the difference between form builder and form group? Form builder and form group.
So the main difference in form builder is that it is a service we inject in the constructor,
Hmm.
and the form group is the it manages the value and validity status of the group of instances.
Okay. How do we set value to any control in the reactive form?
Sorry, can you please repeat once again?
How to set a value in a reactive form control?
Yes. First, we need to initialize the form,
Hmm.
create and initialize the form, and if you want to set a particular value,
Hmm.
then we need to use syntax like this dot form name dot
Hmm.
set value,
Hmm.
and inside that for the controls we can set default value.
Hmm. Okay. What are the various building techniques we have? How do we build application and what are the build types we have in Angular?
Yes, there are two build types. The first one is AOT and second one is JIT.
Hmm.
AOT means ahead of type compiler, and
Hmm.
JIT means just in time compiler.
Hmm.
So the difference between two that is that in JIT compilation, the application compiles inside the browser during
Hmm.
the runtime. So
Okay.
if we change the small piece of code in JIT, the
Hmm.
whole application is going to compile once again. But
Hmm.
in case of AOT, if we change a particular piece of code, then that piece of code will compile, not entire application. So AOT is faster as compared to JIT.
Okay.
And from Angular 13, AOT is our default compiler.
Okay. What is Angular IV?
Yes,
What is Angular IV?
it is a internal engine that is used to run Angular code.
It is an engine to run Angular code. Are you sure? What is Webpack?
Sorry, I don't know.
You have 2 years of experience and you don't know Webpack. Isn't it strange? What is Webpack? You must have heard it somewhere. Webpack. What is the library which build our Angular application? How our Angular application get compiled or built? There must be some library, right? Which might be doing all this. Vaibhav, it is not that if you work on Angular, you do the API call and do that. But background also is important, right? How everything works, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Webpack is a thing that bundle your application, which compiles and everything, right? So please read on that, read on Angular IE also. Okay. What is host listener?
Yes, so post listener is a method decorator which get applied on the function and trigger that function when that event occurs.
Okay. What are the various ways by which we can secure our Angular application? How do we secure our Angular application?
Uh, we can secure our application Angular application by using. We cannot if we do not customize our Angular files.
Mm.
Also, we need to maintain the up-to-date library file, Angular libraries.
Okay. What is change detection in Angular?
Yes, there are two methods of chain detection. The first method is chain detection strategy dot on push, and second one is default method.
Okay. What is difference between promise and observable?
Yes, promise is asynchronous or parallel propagation, which can handle single event at a time, but observable can handle multiple events. A promise can handle either reject or resolve, but observable can handle three events like next, complete, and error. We need to promise can we cannot cancel the promise, but observable can be cancelable.
Okay,
And
fine. So can you see my screen?
yes,
Okay. So you can see we have an array of languages, and you can see when I click that particular, wherever I click, that particular button is getting some class. So can you tell me how do we handle this?
yes, we can handle that by using ng class.
Can you tell me like with ng class, how do you do that? Tell me the logic, na? Like how it is working. When I clicked on it, that particular button is getting selected. How do we do that? Vaibhav, are you there?
Hello.
I'm audible. Tell me the logic behind this, how it should be working. What code you will write to achieve this?
So we need to change the color on the click, right?
Right. Wherever I click, that should be get selected like this. So what code you will write?
First, when we change the button, so we need to write a separate click event on the particular event button. So there, I need to create variable for separate button. So when I click on the button, I will say true or false value to different buttons. So if the button's value is true, variable true, I can use ng class and change the background color according to the uh, uh, that button variable status. Like if the JavaScript button variable is true, I can set the background color to BG success. If it is not true, I can set it to BG primary.
Okay. So task number 3 is there. Let's say I enter 5 and I click on print table. You can see 5 table is getting printed. Tell me how you can do this in Angular. Whatever the number I'm entering, and if we click on print table, the particular number table is getting printed. So how do we do this in Angular?
So here we can use for loop in function.
For loop in function. How exactly?
Uh, in a for loop, we set value of I is equal to and we can increment by less than equal to 10.
Hmm.
And by using ng model, we can bind the variable and we can multiply that variable into value of I.
Are you sure it will work?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the table I'm having, right? So if you can see the first element, I'm having some green color, and the last element I'm having some red color. So how do we do this? I need to add some color to the first element and particular class to the last element. How do we do this? Yes.
By using here we need to use ng class.
Yeah, but what will be condition? How do you identify this is the first record and this is the last record? How do you identify that?
Uh,
What are the properties we have in ng4 when we write ng4? What number of properties we can get from that ng4?
we will get index of
Just like that index, what else properties we can get? So we have first and last property. Just like index, we can get first and last property. If it is the record is first will get true, and for last record, last will get true. Got it? So by that
yes.
condition, you can use on ng class. Okay? Understood or not?
Yes.
Okay, so that's it from my side. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.